don't want you to keep up with me, daughter-in-law. You drive me to distraction.
Distraction? Yeah, I'm with you. I'd rather take a cab to the distillery.
Mother, I just want to know what's troubling you. Why dash off in such a hurry?
I can't endure another moment in this house. No one listens to a word I say or pays the slightest heed to my simplest instructions. Quite frankly, you all disgust me with your chattering about the most outrageous things.
But you must be—
Silent, you impertinent maid! Doreen, you're the worst of all! Sticking your nose into this family's business, giving out advice when it isn't asked for. I can scarcely get a word in edgewise. Servants like children should be seen, not heard.
But Grandma,
David, you with a capital D. I could just as well call you a dunce, a dandy, a dimwit, and a dagger, because it is a dagger you put through my poor son's heart with your gangster apparel and endless nonsensical jazz lingo. You appear the very portrait of Al Capone rendered by that dreadful Mr. Picasso.
If I may—
And Mary Ann, the sweet little sister. Oh, I'm on to you. You act all demure and innocent, but grandmother knows very well the wicked thoughts you harbor and the sordid acts in which you engage when you think no one is looking.
Mother, if I may
And
just
Myra,
say
stop
that—
interrupting me. I feel obliged to speak to you quite plainly. You are a gold digger, when my dear son Orson's first wife, a perfect saint, left this world for a heavenly home. You arrived on the scene a mere 3 years later, young enough to be his daughter. My Orson, blinded by his grief, took you on as a trophy wife, and you take advantage of him with your spendthrift ways, exorbitant socializing, and extravagant parties. It's no wonder the children turned out as poorly as they have.
Mrs. Parnell, really, after all.
Clayton, you are this woman's brother, and I must say that of the lot of you, I find you respectable enough. Nonetheless, your modernist thinking is much too liberal, and if I were my son, I'd have you thrown out. The moderation you bring into every situation will lead the susceptible minds away from holiness and into wickedness.
well, that sounds like your Reverend Tartuffe, that phony palooka.
The Reverend Tartuffe is a holy man, and it is intolerable to hear an imbecile like you slander him.
This used to be a swinging joint before that killjoy came and put the skids on our fun.
He's right. It's like a prison here. There's not a single joyful thing anyone can do anymore without him launching into a sermon condemning it.
He rightly condemns it and does so to lead your sinful souls into heaven. I thank God the day my son brought him under this roof.
Well, I'm sorry, Grandma, but I can't stand that four-flushing con man. Every time he sprouts off, I just want to give him a knuckle sandwich.
And I'd fall with a boot to the backside. He orders us around here like he was master of this house instead of your son.
He is the very model of piety, and if you were to heed to his ministry, you'd all be better for it.
He's a hypocrite.
The Reverend Tartuffe is a saint. Your hatred of him is proof of it. You're all angry because he flatly tells you of your sinful ways. You should all be ashamed because it is only your salvation he seeks.
Is that so? Well, then why does he forbid us visitors? And why is it that he's gained access to your son's bank account?
The vile society with whom this family has been associated was a wild and wicked bunch. Bootleg liquor, wild dance parties, the mixing of social class. I am horrified to think of the talk that went on about us.
Mrs. Parnell, I'll admit that we are no teetotalers and think prohibition is a foolish policy. But we are good people, and no one can control what gossips will say. In fact, I believe that most people tell scandalous stories about other folk just to draw attention away from the real scandals in which they are involved.
Utter nonsense. The Reverend Tartuffe is not only concerned that this family lead virtuous lives, but that we appear virtuous to the world.
Virtuous? When Tartuffe asks us all to bow our heads at dinner, he keeps his noggin erect and his gaze is constantly fixed on everything south of Elmira's neckline.
You are crude.
Oil not deny it. I've had more bows than Rockefeller's drilled wells. I'm just not an oozy hypocrite about the business like Tartuffe.
The Reverend Tartuffe is chaste. His mind is fixed entirely on the heavenly kingdom above. If you'd attend more devoutly to your prayers, you wouldn't have time for your obscene Freudian imaginings of others.
Well, what about all that dough that your holy roller is mooching off Pop?
Your father is not a carbonated beverage, nor does he run a bakery. I don't understand a single word you say.
You don't want to understand. Tartuffe has access to your son's entire fortune. What does a pious man who preaches simple living and austerity need with all that cash?
The ways of saintly men like the ways of God are mysterious. But this I can tell you. Orson has in inform me that the Reverend Tartuffe plans to institute a radio broadcast ministry to take the desperately needed message of repentance and salvation across the entire country. God's will be done. The rigorous holiness that Tartuffe has brought to this home will spread across our once great land.
Nuts!
And save us from the terror of atheistic Bolshevism, the decadence of modern culture, and the primitive and savage rhythms of jazz.
I think the fears that you suggest are highly exaggerated. Reason tells us that times change, and we must change with the times. In moderation.
You see, Elmira, no one listens to a word I say. How could I possibly stay in a house so full of heathens? I had a lot I was going to say that might have led you to the light of salvation, but I'm leaving. Flip, bring me my bags. Not bags, girl, bags. I don't want a bagel, I want my luggage. The police, get the police. Police, police. This is my house for living in such wickedness. Don't do it quickly, Carver, I shall be fixed.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I could direct your attention to the center ring for tonight's main event. Standing in this corner, weighing in not so much as a challenger, the flashing fierce Flip. And in this corner, weighing in at considerably over 200 pounds, the heavyweight champion of the world, the punishing pounder, Parnell.
Why, I never.
Oh, you never? Where did Orson come from?
Why, you.
The stork. It would have taken a whole fleet to deliver that big lug. You never indeed.
Flip, you're fired. The rest of you bring me my luggage. Now!
So she gave you the sack, huh? No, I mean she fired you. Oh, I'm sorry, Flip. Do you have a place to stay? Or any job offerings? The Radio College of America? You're taking a correspondence course? Through the modern marvel of radio technology, you can take an entire course in the study of law in the comfort of your own home. So you're going to be a G-man, huh? Oh! Oh, put that thing away! So you're going to be a G-man like Elliot Ness, huh? Oh, well, that's great. Do you have a place to stay? Oh, that's too bad. And you're hungry, too. Tell you what, you can stay in my room till you get back on your feet. Just stay scarce. I'm sure Tartuffe would find something amiss in you bunking with me. Oh! All right, down, girl, down. Oh. Mrs. Parnell is completely duped by that scoundrel Tartuffe, but she's nothing compared to her son. The way he dotes on the Reverend would make you think they're sweethearts. Exactly. He lavishes more affection on Tartuffe than he does his own wife, daughter, and son combined. Orson put the Reverend at the head of the dinner table, and barely is Grace finished and the ravenous Reverend dives in, gobbling up everything on the menu before anyone else can get a bite. Orson has given that charlatan complete control of the entire house and spends all day singing hymns of praise to his high holiness, while we have to listen to reprimands and rebukes about our sinful ways, while Tartuffe loafs around all day. Anyway, go get yourself set up in my room. I'll sneak you down something after dinner.
Oh, I thought she'd never stop reading. My head is splitting.
Me too. And no sooner did I close the limousine door than she launched right into the chauffeur.
Did you see that poor sap's mug as they drove off?
Orson should be arriving from his business trip soon. I'm going upstairs to take something for this dreadful headache.
I'll go with you. I want to show you my latest letter from Val.
Your fiancé sure is sweet on you, sis.
And I hear tell his sister Molly has you wrapped around her little finger. Who knows? Maybe we'll have a double wedding.
Oh, that'd be swell. She's the bee's knees.
I'll let him know that you'll be down shortly before I head off into town.
Oh, Uncle Quake, before you leave, I was hoping you'd put in a good word to Pop about Sis getting hitched to Val. I got a funny feeling that Nogodinsky Tartuffe is liable to make Pop change his mind. And that'll put the screws in my chances with Molly.
I'll make the pitch for both of you, Davis.
Gee willikers, Uncle, you're the eel's heels. I'm off to meet Molly at the ice cream parlor.